For 3 years of marriage, Xavier Stone had never touched me. I put on my lace nightgown and carefully created fake kiss marks on my skin. Then I took a photo of myself pretending to be asleep, making it look like someone else had taken the picture. "Hey man, she's amazing. Why don't you divorce her and let me have her instead?" I was sure Xavier would be disgusted and angry when he got this anonymous message. He'd finally throw me away like trash me, the girl who was just a replacement for my sister. I thought this time I'd finally get the divorce I wanted. Chapter 1. My sister was vacationing in Europe, celebrating her 3rd wedding anniversary. She asked what gift I wanted, and I requested an anonymous international phone card. Standing in the empty hotel room holding that phone card, I let out a tired sigh. Then I put on the lace nightgown I'd bought specially for my plan. Looking in the mirror, I carefully created marks on my neck and collarbone that looked like passionate kisses. The marks dotted my skin, making it look like someone had desperately wanted me. I even tore one of the straps of the nightgown, as if someone had pulled it. Finally, I put on lipstick and deliberately smudged it. Then I sat on the bed and messed up the other side to make it look like someone had been sleeping there. I closed my eyes. Camera timer set. 3, 2, 1. In the photo, I looked like a woman who had just shared a passionate moment, now sleeping peacefully without a care. I stared at it for a long time. My mind wandered to Xavier Stone's reputation in the business world. The smiling tiger, they called him. The ruthless businessman who never showed mercy. But what I knew best was his cold, emotionless face. Sure, he was handsome, but all his love was only for my sister. I was prepared for the worst. Even if Xavier felt nothing for me, no man could handle being betrayed like this. He might try to get revenge, but in the end, he'd be so disgusted and angry that he'd throw me away and divorce me. That's all I wanted, a divorce. I closed my eyes and hit send. On my phone screen, that casual message read, "Hey man, she's amazing. Why don't you divorce her and let me have her instead?" Along with the photo. Message sent. Chapter 2. Less than 2 seconds later, I got a reply. "Xavier, who are you?" I took my time changing clothes, almost enjoying how I was making him wait. Was he furious right now, wanting to tear the anonymous sender apart? Him, the golden boy who'd always been perfect since childhood, now having his emotions played with by someone like me, someone he'd always controlled. 3 years of sadness and pain finally gave me a moment of satisfaction. After I changed into regular clothes, Xavier had sent 2 more messages. "Stop using such obvious AI face swapping. Tell me what you want. I suggest you confess everything now. Maybe I'll let you die in one piece." I laughed softly. "Mr. Stone, why don't you ask your wife if it's AI? The marks on my baby's neck won't fade that quickly." I dared to say this because I knew Xavier was abroad negotiating an important deal. He couldn't come back for at least 2 weeks. Suddenly, my own phone started ringing. I jumped. The phone kept ringing. It was Xavier calling. I bit my lip, staring at the phone until it stopped. But quickly, the screen lit up again as Xavier kept calling. I knew this time, he was really angry. My heart was racing. I felt like I was walking on a tightrope, playing an extremely dangerous game. I sent, "Mr. Stone, stop calling. We did it 5 times, your wife is sleeping because she's tired." The calls finally stopped. My phone went completely silent. Using the anonymous phone card I sent, "I didn't mean to break you up. Mr. Stone, your wife and I are truly in love. Please be generous and divorce her soon. Let her be with me. Otherwise, everyone will know you're being cheated on and you'll lose face." Xavier didn't reply anymore. Feeling nervous, I threw the torn lace nightgown in the trash, checked out of the hotel, and went back to the mansion. The housekeepers were cleaning. Everything seemed normal, peaceful, like nothing had happened. I washed up and went to bed. In the early morning, as the sky was turning white, I vaguely heard the roar of an engine and the sharp sound of brakes outside my window. When I realized what was happening and opened my eyes in panic, someone knocked on my bedroom door. "Jasmine, open the door." That voice was ice cold, forcefully controlled to sound calm, but revealing a hint of anxious anger. I was instantly wide awake, like someone had dumped cold water over me. It was Xavier Stone. Chapter 3. I panicked. How could he be back? I was just a meaningless replacement to him. The knocking came again, still 3 times, extremely controlled. He spoke faster. "Jasmine, I want to see you." I sat up. I couldn't panic. I couldn't give myself away. Taking a deep breath, I tried to sound sleepy but calm. "Mr. Stone, I need to use the bathroom and take a shower. Please wait." I ran to the bathroom, turned on the shower, and stared at the marks on my neck. I had made these marks myself yesterday using a bottle, pressing hard to make them look real. They wouldn't fade for days and even makeup couldn't hide them. But I had to try to cover them. Someone who really cheated would try to lie and hide it first. Xavier was too smart. I had to make this act perfect. I wet my hair to look like I'd just showered, then changed into a black turtleneck dress that covered everything up to my arms. I carefully put a band-aid over the half-visible mark peeking out from the collar. Looking in the mirror, I practiced looking guilty but trying to act normal. This should disgust him enough. Xavier would definitely be repulsed and demand a divorce. Tell me to get out. I opened the door. Xavier was sitting on the couch, frowning, with his eyes closed. His face was pale, with light stubble on his chin. He'd forgotten his watch, and his suit cufflinks were missing. One hand tightly gripped his phone, the other hung on the armrest, with 4 deep cuts on his knuckles. Like he'd hit something more than once. But he didn't seem to care. He hadn't even put a band-aid on them. Mr. Stone, why are you back? Xavier opened his eyes to look at me, his pupils dark and intense. He stood up from the couch. The man who had seemed so urgent before now moved very slowly toward me. I stepped back instinctively, but Xavier grabbed my arm and pulled me back. He looked down at my neck, his pupils shrinking. I forced a smile and said, "Did something happen?" He didn't answer, just raised his cold fingers to the band-aid on my neck, like he might rip it off any second, exposing all my lies, then angrily and humiliated, tear up our fake marriage certificate. I started trembling, closing my eyes to wait for him to expose me. But his fingers just lightly touched the band-aid. Xavier calmly asked, "What happened here?" I deliberately avoided his gaze. Just got a paper cut yesterday. A paper cut. Xavier blinked very slowly. What were you doing last night? His fingers slipped under my collar, one pull, and he'd see all the marks hidden under the fabric. I swallowed hard. I went out for a hair treatment last night. Xavier's breathing became heavy. He stared at me emotionlessly. For a moment, I thought he might tear me apart. His fingers gripped my collar, and I stumbled, almost falling into his arms. I quickly put my hands up against his chest to stop myself. His hand wrapped around my waist like an iron band, gradually tightening, as if he was slowly releasing his contained anger this way. I couldn't match his strength. My resisting arms started to weaken. Xavier moved closer and closer. "Mr. Stone, please don't," I said shakily. I didn't know what he was going to do, but my instincts told me it would be dangerous. My mind went blank, my voice trembling as I begged randomly. After 3 or 4 seconds, he slowly withdrew his fingers, clenched them into a fist, his face turning dark as iron, his lips pressed tightly together. I finally realized what I'd been saying. "I'm scared. Don't touch me, please. I'm assigning you 2 personal bodyguards. They'll follow you whenever you go out to ensure your safety," Xavier announced flatly. Then he turned and left without another word. Only after I heard the familiar sound of his car engine outside did I snap out of my daze. He wasn't going to confront me. How was this possible? Chapter 4. I was being watched so closely that I barely had a chance to use that phone to make contact. For some reason, Xavier, who was supposed to be abroad, finished his business trip in just 5 days and rushed back. After he returned, the surveillance on me loosened up a bit, and I finally had a chance to pick up the phone again. Using the anonymous phone card, I sent a message. "Dude, that's not fair play. If she cheated, just get divorced. Why are you keeping your wife locked up?" Xavier replied quickly, "She didn't cheat. I trust her. Jasmine isn't the kind of person who would do these things." I stared at this message in shock. What did he mean? Sure, I couldn't bring myself to actually cheat with someone, which is why I came up with this plan. But how would Xavier know what kind of person I am? He had always been so cold to me. Desperately, throwing caution to the wind, I added fuel to the fire. "Mr. Stone, you don't know your wife better than I do. She has 3 special marks near her ribs, by her belly button, and whenever I trace them with my finger, she trembles. But you're her husband of 3 years, so you must know that already, right?" The last line was dripping with sarcasm, because in these 3 years, Xavier had never touched me. Bang! Right after I sent it, there was a huge crashing sound from upstairs. The sound came from Xavier's study. I jumped, quickly hiding the spare phone. The crashing sounds continued a few more times. Then I heard Xavier coming downstairs. He tiredly told the housekeeper, "Get someone to clean up. The computer needs to be replaced." Footsteps approached. I was shaking, thinking I might be the next thing he'd destroy. I hid under my blanket, pretending to be asleep. The lock on my door had mysteriously broken since he returned. Xavier gently turned the handle. Seeing the darkness in the bedroom, he didn't say anything. In the silence, his heavy breathing and unsteady heartbeat were so clear that I wondered if he could hear my racing heart too. He came closer and closer. I kept my eyes tightly shut. Xavier didn't shake me awake or grab my neck in anger demanding explanations. He stood by my bed. Even with my eyes closed, I could feel his intense gaze fixed on my stomach, like he was debating whether to check. Don't shake, keep breathing steady, keep acting. I didn't move an inch. Suddenly I felt the mattress sink beside me. Xavier slowly lay down next to me. That cold yet burning gaze still fixed on me. I gritted my teeth. If you want to catch a tiger, you have to enter its den. Time to provoke him more. As if caught in a sweet dream, I turned towards him and snuggled into his chest. Xavier paused and his fierce gaze suddenly softened. Honey, I mumbled sleepily. Xavier froze for a moment. I persistently wrapped my arms around him and used my sweetest voice ever. Honey, hold me. I thought he would get angry, maybe even shake me awake. Because I had never called him honey before he knew I was calling someone else that name. But instead, he stared at me hard, gripping my arms tightly, trembling with anger, but when he heard my whimper, he forced himself to loosen his grip. Xavier held the back of my head, letting me hug him tighter. He kissed my hair. Then he started stroking my back up and down, in an awkward but gentle way, like he was trying to help me sleep. He said softly, "Yes, honey's here." I froze. His eerily calm reaction was absolutely crazy. Xavier was brilliant. He should have realized I was cheating when he got the first message. To avoid scandal, he should have quickly prepared divorce papers and forced me to leave with nothing. But instead, he kept denying it again and again, frantically and stubbornly refusing to believe I had been with someone else. Now he was even playing along with my sleep talking, claiming the sweet words meant for someone else. What was he doing? Xavier thought I had fallen into deeper sleep when my mumbling stopped. Silently, he lifted the blanket and touched where the marks should be, then gently traced downward. One light touch, his fingertip cool against my skin. It was so quick I hadn't even processed it, but my body instantly curled up, trembling uncontrollably. I had made up that message. How did I not know that being touched there would feel like electricity running through me? I shook helplessly, unable to keep pretending, immediately trying to turn away. Xavier stopped touching me but wrapped both arms completely around me, forcing me to face him. Strong and secure, like a heart-shaped lock, so tight I could feel his heartbeat beneath his ribs. Chaotic, wild, powerful. He whispered softly, "You're mine and I'm yours." He had really lost his mind. He had abandoned all logic and cold calculation, turning completely wild. Savage, direct, possessively claiming me. As if I was prey brought to his den, meant only for him. Xavier had turned us both into objects. We weren't humans with fragile bodies and sensitive souls anymore, but two pieces of a lock. Click lock together. Stubbornly believing, I'm his, he's mine. He had really gone crazy. I opened my eyes in the darkness, looking at Xavier's sleeping face between his burning chest and arms, feeling confused. Until my eyelids grew heavy and I fell asleep. In my dream, I was back 3 years ago, crying and begging Xavier to let me go. He looked at me coldly. Until I shouted, "I don't owe you anything, you have no right to keep me." Only then did he step back, staying silent for a full minute before looking up. "You do owe me. Your sister ran away and broke our marriage agreement, so you have to make it up to me for life. I won't let you go." Back then, I collapsed on the floor, touching my face that looked so much like my sister's, finally understanding that he would never let me go because he saw me as her replacement. 3 years passed like that, bitter and unbearable. When I opened my eyes, Xavier was already gone. The bed beside me was neat and tidy, like no one had ever been there. Chapter 5. I got Xavier's reply. "Do you have other photos or videos of her?" I responded, "Bro, I may be a player but I'm not sleazy. I don't take private photos of women. Is this how you tricked her with your smooth talk? She's so young, you beast." I was confused by his insult. "We're truly in love. Besides, I wasn't that young. I was 23 and almost done with my master's degree." "Xavier, leave her. Just tell me how much money you want." I was furious. "I told you, man, we're in love. How about you leave her? I'll name my price." "Xavier, you don't deserve her love." I didn't like hearing that. Even as a guy, I was pretty awesome, you know. I went further, fighting the urge to roll my eyes as I saved some random fitness model photos from the internet and sent them to Xavier. "I've got a lot going for me, don't worry. Your wife is very happy." This time, I didn't hear anything being smashed. After a second, Xavier, sitting in the living room, let out a sudden, mocking, contemptuous laugh. "Heh, what's he laughing at?" Xavier quickly sent new messages. One look, and my hair stood on end. "On the 27th of last month, did you or someone else go to Barcelona to buy a phone card? Xavier, did you really think I couldn't track you down just because you used an anonymous phone card? Xavier, I'll check every single detail as carefully as peeling your skin. You better have gone to Barcelona yourself. If you had someone else buy it and mail it back to the country, there would be an address. Xavier, you better sleep with your eyes open, buddy. The last word was pure, extreme mockery. I shot back defiantly, of course I sleep with my eyes open to look at your wife more. Crash. Outside, Xavier smashed another cup. Xavier, she's just playing around with you. I gritted my teeth. Oh really? Why don't you look at how your wife has changed recently? I turned off the phone. Suddenly calm. Changes? What changes would someone show when they found someone new? I started working out. Every morning, I spent 40 minutes doing strength training and 15 minutes of cardio at the gym. Within 2 days, the housekeeper awkwardly told me the gym was broken. I said it was fine, I'd use whichever equipment still worked. He said everything was broken. Even the gym door lock was broken and wouldn't open. Frustrated, I started doing workout videos in the living room with a yoga mat. For some reason, Xavier had been working from home lately, and of course, he just had to sit right there in the living room. He stared at his computer, then suddenly asked, "Why did you start exercising recently?" Perfect timing for my plan. I turned away, I'm not thin enough. On TV, the fitness instructor bent down to touch their toes, starting to stretch. I copied the moves. Xavier's voice sounded strange, "You're thin enough." Breathing heavily, I said, "I want to work out. Having toned abs looks pretty." Xavier quickly asked, "Who said that?" I paused, suddenly hesitating whether to reveal everything now. This was what I'd been waiting for. But instinctively, like someone who really was hiding something, I wanted to keep it secret. I told myself it was because right now, the atmosphere was too nice, nicer than we'd ever been. Xavier and I had always been rushed, always distant. He was busy with work, I was busy dealing with him working. We'd never been like this before, sitting together, doing our own things but still chatting occasionally, like a real married couple. While I was confused about my feelings, Xavier suddenly dropped the subject. "Never mind, it's nothing." He just let go of his chance to discover the truth so easily. In that moment, I had a strange feeling. It was like we both silently agreed to protect this delicate thread connecting us. But a few minutes later, when I went to my room to change clothes, I saw Xavier's new message. The man who had been sitting calmly on the couch had, during one of my turns, sent to the anonymous person, "You beast, I want you dead." Chapter 6. The TV broke. 2 other shows worked fine, but it couldn't play workout videos anymore. The housekeeper told me apologetically. They had to vacuum the whole house at 8 a.m. every morning, so I couldn't exercise in the living room. I took a deep breath. I started learning to bake. When the housekeeper asked curiously, I smiled and said, "It makes me happy to see others enjoy what I made." Xavier stood at the stairs with a dark expression, his head slowly following my movements between the kitchen island and stove. I ate the burnt cookies myself, gave 2 good ones to the curious housekeeper. The rest I put in a paper bag tied with a ribbon. Homemade baking should prove I had someone special, right? And that I was serious about them. I went back to my room to get dressed. "Mr. Stone, I have a study group meeting to attend." Xavier was leaning on the kitchen island, staring expressionlessly at the empty baking tray. He looked up at me. Was he going to explode? Was he going to announce the divorce? My heart was in my throat, but he just raised an eyebrow and gave a cold, mocking smile. "Sure, go ahead." Then he left. I walked over and froze. The bag of cookies I'd left on the table was gone. Even the burnt ones I hadn't finished were gone. Xavier. I could have shared them with my professor and classmates, but he threw them all away. Furious but helpless, I sent messages behind his back. "Your wife says you've been angry at home lately, she's scared. She cries every night missing me. Mr. Stone, why won't you divorce? What's the point of forcing this relationship? Is winning really that important? She doesn't owe you anything. Your marriage was just a business arrangement. You already got what you wanted, why won't you let her go?" "Xavier," she cried. I stared at this message blankly, not knowing how to respond. Was that the point? The point was divorce. Xavier sent a second message. "You live in Peace District too." Cold sweat broke out. How did he find that out? Before I could deny it, Xavier said, "I'm close to finding you, you disgusting dog." I frantically turned off my phone, breaking into a cold sweat. My time was running out. I had to make a big move. No more subtle hints. Chapter 7. With trembling hands, I put the divorce agreement I'd drafted into my purse. Then I put on my shortest skirt and high heels, did my makeup, sprayed perfume, and opened the door. "I'm going out." Xavier watched me silently. This seemed to be the first time in days we'd looked at each other so long and carefully. The living room light cast shadows on his cheekbones. He seemed thinner, with bloodshot eyes. He looked like a candle burning at both ends, alert yet exhausted, pale yet striking. How long had he been sitting in the living room? Where are you going? He asked flatly. Friend's house. Which friend? Xavier's gaze fixed on my short skirt, his expression darkening. You don't know them. He smiled, silently laughing until his eyes crinkled, then shook his head. Tell me, then I'll know them. Mr. Stone, our marriage was just a deal. When we married, you agreed we wouldn't interfere in each other's private lives. He slowly stood up at 6 feet 3 inches, with broad shoulders and a slim waist. He was born to wear clothes well. I just noticed he wasn't wearing his usual suit today, but a fitted black sweater. The fabric clung to his chest. He looked down at me, slowly taking off his blue light glasses and tossing them on the couch. Go on, Jasmine. Let me count how many more hurtful words you have for me. I trembled and stepped back but spoke defiantly. Also, I don't owe you anything. My sister is back in the country. If she knew how you treated me, she'd like you even less. This seemed to work. Xavier frowned slightly. Quickly, what? I swallowed. I'm leaving. Not just leaving, I want a divorce. Without waiting, I threw down the divorce papers and ran for the door. Finally saying those words out loud, ending all my anxious days. I felt instant relief and freedom, like finally getting on a roller coaster after waiting in line forever. After the relief came confused tension and fear. I rushed to the door, grabbing the handle with both hands like escaping for my life, just opening it halfway. Bang! Xavier slammed the door shut with one hand. He pinned down my hands. You dare. Xavier looked at me, his expression not fierce at all, almost calm. But his eyes were so deep, his breathing becoming uncontrollably chaotic. I gritted my teeth. Mr. Stone. I have someone else. Wake up. He clenched his jaw. I could see his temple throbbing. Like my words nearly made him faint with anger. His knees locked my legs, knee against the door, so angry he could barely stand, but his hands still gripped mine tightly to stop me opening the door. His whole body wrapped around me like a snake. Those cold, unfeeling lips couldn't say any cruel words, but couldn't say any sweet ones either. He could only grit out again, you dare. My back against his chest felt burning hot, like electricity running through my bones and blood. My mind went blank. I couldn't even control my breathing, let alone think clearly. The light was too bright. I couldn't help noticing his striking face, and our bodies pressed so tightly together. Shaking, I forced out words. I meant to say something harsh, but my voice betrayed me before I could. Weak, almost choking. You don't even love me. Breathing hard, I said quietly, Xavier, please, let's divorce. You don't love me, but someone else will. Xavier's breathing stopped for a moment. His whole body tensed, jaw clenched tight, like he wanted to say something but couldn't. His weak, panicked body gradually regained strength as he straightened up, hand on the door. Just as I reached for the handle again, he suddenly picked me up. What are you doing? I struggled in panic. Xavier's face showed no emotion as he let me kick, kissed me hard, and deliberately stepped on the divorce papers as he walked. Divorce. Only if I'm dead. I cried angrily. What right do you have to treat me like this? Why won't you be reasonable? Xavier carried me to the bed. He said, because we're married. We can only be tangled with each other for life. I tried to provoke him. I love him. I've been with him. The final pretense torn away, but without the explosion I expected. He gently took off his sweater. His lips were red from our kisses, making his pale face look even more striking. His muscles were perfect, even better than the photo I'd sent. He looked down at me. So what? I froze. What? Xavier said expressionlessly, you're young. It's normal to be curious and want to play around. I couldn't believe it. He looked down at me, removing his last layer. My eyes couldn't help falling to a certain spot. Suddenly I understood why Xavier had only laughed coldly at those two provocative photos. He definitely had the right to be scornful. Xavier gently held my wrist, leaning down. I could smell his cologne. Without all those layers of proper business suits in the way. Without his endless work and cold words. For the first time, I realized something obvious. Xavier was a man, a powerfully masculine man. I could barely speak, couldn't find words to argue. All my senses were focused on the man before me. He looked at me calmly. Jasmine, you're just hungry. Running away from home for junk food is childish. He touched my forehead, gently but forcefully, making me look up. Another long kiss. I could barely breathe, almost forgetting my original purpose. Xavier's hand wrapped around my neck, not tight, just enough pressure as he looked down at me, saying softly, but trying to leave me for trash. That's not okay. When you do wrong things, you need to be punished. My whole body trembled, my voice shaking, like I was hypnotized, only able to follow his lead. How? Those 3 marks were traced again. I trembled and begged. Xavier watched quietly, and after my second unsuccessful plea, tears in my eyes, he sighed, forgave all my wrongs, and kissed me deeper. Ding dong, ding dong, ding dong. The doorbell rang. Xavier pretended not to hear, wanting to continue. Soon after, someone knocked on the bedroom door. Jasmine, it's your sister. Mr. Stone, are you there too? My sister's voice came through, worried and urgent. Xavier gripped the sheets, taking a deep breath, his face terribly dark. He closed his eyes, trying to calm down. Was he so excited because he was seeing his true love? I smiled bitterly to myself, wondering why my heart, which had died 3 years ago, was hurting again in this self-torturing way. Maybe because Xavier's possessive behavior lately had given me some groundless fantasies. Jasmine. Sister knocked harder, and when no one answered, started turning the handle. My heart jumped. My bedroom door lock had been broken. Don't open it. Wait in the living room, we'll be right there, Xavier said, covering me with the blanket. Okay. Chapter 8. I sat properly dressed next to my sister, feeling strangely guilty. Xavier sat alone on the side couch, fingers irritably tapping the armrest, taking deep breaths every few seconds to calm down. Sister, why are you back? My sister coughed, seeming to find these words difficult. She hesitated. Actually, I wasn't celebrating a third wedding anniversary. I was traveling alone to clear my head. What? I was stunned. Lucy hesitated. Miss Zhao, please just say what you need to say. Xavier clenched his fists. My sister hesitated. Jasmine, I'm actually divorced. I looked at her, instantly understanding why she came. Lucy put the dirty divorce agreement on the table. I was unsure, but seeing this agreement, I felt I had to say something. She looked at Xavier. Mr. Stone, I owe you for running away back then. I can marry you now to make up for it. Please let my sister go. My heart skipped a beat. This should be wonderful news. Xavier, who would never divorce me, would surely give up a replacement when faced with the real thing. But why did I feel so? I watched them, Xavier and Lucy, silently looking at each other. I should be happy, right? I lowered my head, hiding all my expressions. After a long silence, Xavier spoke. What? Lucy, please divorce my sister. Xavier, no need. I looked up in disbelief. He said expressionlessly, having both sisters marry me in turn, people would laugh at me. Lucy, I'm a foreign citizen now, still using my married name, so don't worry. As long as I'm not seen in public, no one will connect me with my sister. Xavier. Lucy gently pushed the divorce agreement over. Mr. Stone, please sign it. I'll repay what I owe you. Stop torturing my sister. Xavier, torture? He laughed angrily, leaning forward, seeming to have reached his breaking point from recent stress. He glared at Lucy coldly. How did I torture her? Why don't you ask your dear sister who's really torturing who? He clenched his jaw, his cheek muscles twitching, completely confused. Why? Why does everyone keep trying to make us divorce? Yes, I forced her to marry me. It's my own sin. Whatever she does to me, I accept it. But you, who are you two? He pressed his lips tight, seeming to hold back worse words out of respect for my sister. Lucy was stunned. I was stunned too. Xavier suddenly seemed to realize he'd said too much. His eyes showed a moment of hesitation before quickly hiding it. But what did he mean? He forced me to marry him. 3 years ago, it was an arranged marriage between our families. My father liked Xavier's business talent, didn't mind his humble background, and wanted to marry my sister to him. But sister unexpectedly met a blonde, blue-eyed foreign violinist and ran away. I was still in school, forced to marry Xavier at the minimum legal age of 20. What did he mean by forced? Lucy mumbled. So Ian was someone you arranged. No wonder I kept running into him everywhere. I thought it was fate. Xavier stood up abruptly, his expression tight. Enough, stop talking. Lucy stood up too, her eyes blazing. So you never liked me at all? You deliberately sent someone who was my ideal type to approach me. I don't owe you anything. The Zhao family doesn't owe you. Shut up. Xavier's voice shook, unusually defensive, unable to cover Lucy's cold, merciless voice. And my sister owes you nothing. Xavier's chest heaved violently, weak like he'd been punched. Like a snail stripped of its shell, exposed to the burning sun, pale to the point of suffocation. Right, my sister doesn't owe you. The business contract from the arranged marriage is already complete. If she wants to leave, what right do you have to force her to stay? Lucy accused, somehow making this man who ruled the business world unable to argue back. Xavier trembled, clenching his fists. I won't allow it. His eyes were red as he glared at Lucy, not daring to look at me. I just won't allow it. He'd just called me childish, but now he was acting more like a stubborn kid than anyone. My sister stood in front of me like an angry mother bear, ready to charge at him. You really think having money means everyone has to revolve around you? My sister is a living person, not some tool for you to control. Xavier Stone, play your business games at your company. Why are you bullying a college student? He opened his mouth, pale. I wanted to say he hadn't bullied me, he just never looked at me, never touched me, never loved me, making me so sad. Lucy got angrier. Look at how she's living. Her bedroom door's been broken for so long, and with all your money you won't fix it. You stepped on her divorce papers. Have you ever treated her like a real wife? Have you ever been good to her? Poor Jasmine even had to ask me to buy her a phone card. Instantly, cold sweat broke out on my back, my hair standing on end. Only 2 words in my mind. Oh no. Chapter 9. Xavier's vulnerable expression instantly froze. His pupils shrank as he looked up. What did you say? I grabbed Lucy's arm in fear. Please, please, please stop talking, sister. Lucy looked at me confused, then glared like I was a coward. What? Mr. Stone is pretending to care now. My little sister is so young. People say she married rich to enjoy life, but when I asked what she wanted from Barcelona, she only asked for a phone card, so pitiful, like she was afraid to ask for more. That's not how it was. My whole body shook, afraid to look at Xavier's face. The silence in the room lasted so long it became torture. Lucy finally noticed something was wrong. What is it? What's wrong with the phone card? Xavier actually laughed, a short burst, nothing. His voice grew softer. I felt his intense gaze fixed on me like burning needles. He said softly, it's all my fault, sister, I'm sorry. Suddenly, all his anger was gone. He even became so polite he called Lucy sister and apologized. You don't act like this, it's so fake. Lucy was taken aback. Xavier, yes, it's all my fault. But sister, my wife and I need to talk about some things privately. Please give us some space. Half gentle, half firm, he managed to get Lucy to leave. The moment the door closed, I felt like my doom was coming. The click of the lock sounded like a starting gun. Without thinking, I rushed upstairs, trying to hide in his room. I swear, I only thought about how his room could be locked. I didn't have time to remember there was also a bed. But Xavier was faster. Before I could close the door, he blocked it with his hand, looking down at me. He closed the door, locked it, and took off the sweater he'd just put back on. Step by step, he backed me up to the bed. I cried, I am sorry. Xavier, too late. I begged, I won't ask for divorce anymore. After what just happened, anyone could see he hadn't seen me as a replacement. He might even like me a little. I thought maybe I could wait and watch before deciding about divorce. Xavier nodded, don't even think about it. He pushed me to sit on the bed, his eyes locked on mine, kissing my neck like a possessive puppy. Kiss marks, huh? Calling me bro and asking me to give up my wife. Pretty brave, bro. He kissed me, his long hidden jealousy finally exploding, so strong it turned into hurt. But he was always so serious that when he showed emotion, he tried hard to control it. Only after a long time, like he'd gotten enough strength from me. Then I heard him say softly, it's not that I don't love you. I was just afraid if I said it, you'd say you don't love me back. Xavier held me tight. After hesitating for a long time, I carefully put my arms around him too. The moment I did, his whole body trembled with excitement. After a while, he asked quietly, Jasmine, can you say it again? That, honey, hold me. I couldn't stand it, go away. Of course Xavier didn't leave. Instead he came closer, closer, super close. This time, no doorbell interrupted. I watched as he covered all the places where I'd faked marks with real kisses. Only then did I realize this guy had been so jealous, he'd memorized that photo, looking at it over and over until it was burned into his mind. The curtains floated in the breeze. The sun set, then rose again. In the morning light, I opened my sleepy eyes. There in the corner of his desk, secretly hidden, was my missing bag of cookies.